Tonight's show is brought to you by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika. Get ready to smile.
Hello, baseball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Hey everybody, welcome into On Deck. Thank you for being here tonight. Really do appreciate it. While you're here, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck. And of course, with your Atlanta Braves, who are fresh off a series victory over the Philadelphia Phillies. And I gotta say, that sounds really good coming out. So the Braves do beat the Phillies in the series, but still remain 6 games back in the division, which of course not ideal, but a much better place than what they could have been had they lost this series. So credit to Atlanta for being able to take 2 of 3. They are now 7-3 in their last 10. The Phillies are 5-5. The Braves are creeping up there, and really the key here, when you look at where we're at, and we can all point and wish things were better, but we've talked before about what the injuries have done to this team. The fact that the Braves were able to win this series and kind of show everybody, hey, we can still play, means a lot, So for me, this series was huge. I think, the pitching was probably the biggest component to the Braves' success. Max Fried pitched really well, even in that loss in Game 2. Reynaldo Lopez and his return from injury pitched really well in Game 1 of this series. The Braves won that game 3-1. And, of course, last night they lost 3-2 against the Phillies with Fried on the mound, Joe Jimenez giving up a run late, and the offense being unable to respond there in the ninth, which they had a chance to. The Braves, though, did win tonight, courtesy of a few unsuspecting heroes. We'll go through that in a second, but Spencer Schwellenbach, first of all, was fantastic. 6 2/3 on the mound tonight, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and 9 strikeouts. Yeah, if you have a start like that, you should pretty much win the ball game. And look, Pierce Johnson and Raisel Iglesias did not allow another run. The Braves were able to only win this one with 3, and that's all it took. Gio Urshela knocked in a run on a fielder's choice. Olsen knocked in a run on a double, and Adam Duvall knocked in a home run in a solo shot. You can't ask for much more. He hasn't played in quite a while, so good to see him play tonight and have a good moment. Adam Duvall has had his fair share of criticism this year, no doubt about that, and I get we all kind of get in our moods and we all get to a point where we're ready to criticize a person who's not hitting or not playing well. But Adam Duvall is one of these guys who works hard every day, tries his best, and it's nice to see him rewarded with sticking to it and really being a leader on this team, because I'll tell you that over the years he really has been that. I remember back when we first got him from the Reds. He's had a stint down in the minors, and he took it. He went there. He didn't, react negatively towards it. He did his best there, and he was rewarded with being brought back to the majors and would later go on to hit a grand slam in the World Series and really be a component of that team with the Braves. But it was even before that, back in 2019. He has been a staple on this team. We know how hard he works. We know who he can be, and it was nice to see him again get rewarded with not only playing tonight, because it's been a while since we've seen him, but having a moment like that was really nice for him to see. But the other guy I wanted to talk about tonight, there's 2 actually that I wanted to talk about. But let's go ahead and start with Gio Urshela, who was able to knock in a run, his first RBI as a Brave. In Gio Urshela. That was nice to see. This is a guy who a lot of folks, when it first got announced that, he's available, everybody gravitated towards the Braves getting him. Immediately, we were on here talking about what's going to happen now that Austin Riley is hurt. What are they going to do? Because they got to do something. Gio Urshela became available. The Braves got him as soon as they could. We thought that could happen. I kind of thought it would. If nothing else, just to cover the absence of Austin Riley and maybe even be just a temporary piece until the Braves possibly even found something a little bit more, a little bit more plentiful in the waiver wire. But so far, Urshela's been really good, not only at the plate, but also in the field. He's turned 4 double plays, including one tonight. So just in the field alone, he's had a couple plays that, you could convince me he could play shortstop. I mean, the guy's been really, really good. So I thought that has been just a really good addition. We're going to go a little bit more into him along with Whit Merrifield in our next segment, so make sure to hang around. But I really wanted to just talk about this series. And again, the pitching that has gone on in this series has been phenomenal. The only real, I would say, downtick in our pitching was Joe Jimenez's inning last night. And you could chop that up to he pitched the night before. As limited as our bullpen has been, the fact that, we were able to win this series against the Phillies, go deep in pitching matchups with our starters and limit how much we had to use our pen really helped. And once you get it to Raisel Iglesias, the game's put away pretty much, at least according to what's been going on lately. But again, Gio Urshela, Matt Olson, Adam Duvall, all with RBIs tonight, all courtesy in different ways, whether it be fielder's choice, double, or a homer. Pick your poison. But again, the pitching staff over this series has been really great, especially the starters. We didn't know what we were going to get. Reynaldo Lopez specifically coming off an injury. We really weren't sure with him what he was going to look like. He looked well controlled. He was able to throw it up there at 96, 97 on a regular basis. The Phillies had nothing for him. He looked really good. I was actually at that game, game one on Tuesday night. He looked good. Game two, Max Fried, I thought, looked really good. And really, we didn't know what we were going to get out of him either because his past few starts have not looked great. And the Phillies tend to get to Fried a good bit. So good to see him have a good outing. I believe he had 6 innings pitched, only 2 runs given up there. So, yeah, he had a solid outing. And then, of course, today with Spencer Schwellenbach, a rookie pitcher who shouldn't pitch this good, if we're honest. A lot of folks were skeptical of what he was going to be. I was skeptical of what he could be. He has proven all of us wrong. Again, 6 2/3 pitched tonight, 9 strikeouts, only 3 hits, and only 2 earned runs given up. That gives your team a chance to win the ball game. I will take that appearance in the postseason from Spencer Schwellenbach if we get that far. But yeah, the Braves right now 6 games back of the Phillies. They have 4 games left head-to-head. Those will be played in Philadelphia. Ideally, of course, you would have won this series, but you can't ask for everything. Either way, this keeps the Braves right there in the fight for the NL East. We'll see where it goes from here, but all in all, I thought this was a good series win. I thought, again, the pitching staff looked great. The offense, all things considered, looked really good. We're going to talk about Gio Urshela and Whit Merrifield in depth here in a minute. And later on in the show, we're going to talk about a couple other options via the waiver wire that are drawing up interest among Braves fans. So make sure to stick around for that. We got some good ones coming up.
Are you ready to save big on a new GMC?
At Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika, you can own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA. The GMC Sierra pickup is discounted up to $14,500 off. The roomy and comfortable GMC Terrains are up to $8,250 off. And the GMC Acadias with 3 spacious rows and seating for 7, discounted up to $8,000 off. At Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika,
Get ready to smile.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Let's go ahead and talk in depth about Gio Urshela and Whit Merrifield. We're going to start with Gio Urshela. 4 double plays turned in only like 3 or 4 games here in Atlanta. He has been absolutely phenomenal defensively. He's made plays and made third base look easy to play, and really that was one of my bigger concerns with the loss of Austin Riley. Of course, we all know about the offensive side of the ball, what you lose with Austin. But you also lose a really good defender over there at third base. Gio Urshela has not skipped a beat. He has looked great over there. His arm strength is good. His maneuverability is good. He's looked really good defensively. And he's been able to work really well quickly with Whit Merrifield and the entire infield in turning those double plays, but just being a part of the infield, knowing where to be and that kind of thing, which should not go understated. That is not the easiest thing to do, especially when joining a new team and expected to pick up a glove and go at it right away. So, yeah, Gio Urshela, really good defensively. Also offensively, we were all waiting on him to have his first hit. He had that, I believe, last night, and then tonight he gets his first RBI. He's fitting right in. I believe, if I heard it correctly on the broadcast the other night, he and Marcell Ozuna go way back. So you see the connection, right? He's going to fit into the clubhouse. He's been really good for the Braves. I don't know how long his tenure will be in Atlanta, but what a tenure it has been so far. He has been absolutely phenomenal. We also got to talk about two-hit Whit, right? Whit Merrifield has been absolutely phenomenal as well. Whit Merrifield, he was an all-star last year. He was picked up by the Phillies this year and kind of got the runaround a little bit in Philadelphia. Never really fit there, never really fit what they were doing, but this is a guy who's been in the game a long time. He's had 9 years in the game so far. He's usually about a 270 hitter, flirts, anywhere from 250 to 280, 290. He's been a really good hitter. He's been multiple-time All-Star, including last year, but all the way back in 2019, 2021, and 2023. He's led the league in hits twice. He's led the league in triples once back in 2019. But this is a guy who can give you some versatility in the infield and the outfield. I think if time goes on and Ozzie Albies comes back quicker than Austin Riley, which that seems to be the case, I think there's going to be a stint where you see Whit Merrifield play third base over Gio Urshela just because he can, and the bat is there, right? He's a career 280 hitter. He's got a little bit more power than Gio from what we've seen so far. He also provides you the ability to have speed on the base pass. I mean, he's hit, 2 triples since being with the Braves, and that's only been a little while. So, yeah, I mean, he's been really good. He's only had, 21 games as a Brave, but what a stint he has had, and really the ability for these guys, both of them, but especially Whit Merrifield, because he's spoken on it, is that playing every day really helps him. Whit Merrifield spent time with Philadelphia, but he only played 53 games. For perspective, he's played 21 in a Braves uniform, right? And he's been with us for no time at all. They weren't using him in the way that's going to maximize his value. And to be fair to Philadelphia, I don't know that the Braves at the beginning of the season would have been able to use Whit Merrifield in a way to maximize his value either. But the Braves have been put in a spot where they kind of have to rely on players like Whit Merrifield, Gio Urshela, to get by because of all the injuries. And they haven't skipped a beat. And credit where credit is due. Gio Urshela, Whit Merrifield, the Braves have missed on quite a bit this year, especially when it comes to injuries. They have not missed on these two additions. Again, phenomenal defense so far out of Gio Urshela, and I would honestly say great offense out of Whit Merrifield, and Merrifield's fit fine in the infield. I think you could plug him in the outfield if needed. I still think you could plug him at third base and he'd be fine, right? You could see a, potential future with these guys. I think if Whit Merrifield continues at his pace, he may find himself in Atlanta again, and it may not be in an everyday role, but they may try to find him a way to get everyday at-bats, right, as opposed to being a starter like he's been. I think that he's really ingrained himself in the clubhouse, so has Urshela, for that matter, in a very short amount of time. I mean, as much as we're talking about Whit Merrifield, Gio Urshela has only been with the Braves all of 2 games or 3 games, right? So, and he's already seemed to fit right in with the clubhouse, and that's, again, a really good thing to see out of these two guys, and really a good thing to see out of the organization, right? The fact that you can go get 2 guys who were on the island of misfit toys in terms of baseball and bring them in, and they're having, stat differences to this level. Let's look at Merrifield for a second. With the Phillies, he had a 199 batting average. With the Braves, he's got a 258 average. Smaller sample size, I get it, but you can't argue that playing every day seems to help him, right? He's got a 277 on-base percentage with Philadelphia, 387 with the Braves, 295 slug in Philadelphia, 403 with the Braves. He's been a much more consistent hitter with the Braves. There's no debating that. And again, it is a smaller sample size, less than half of the at-bats for the Braves. I get that. But I still think the everyday consistency, we'll have to see how it plays out. We don't need him to win an MVP. We just need him to hit consistently for the rest of the year, and that's all we need. And you got to imagine that Whit Merrifield, coming off a team, coming away from a team who DFA'd him, signing to a team who is the division rival of the team that DFA'd him, you got to think he was hyped up to play that series. And, the fact that he was able to hit a triple against him was nice. He really helped win the game there in game one specifically. I mean, he looked really good there. I like what I see. He's a veteran player. You can tell he's a good fit in the clubhouse, like I mentioned, and that means something in Atlanta. I think that it was a really nice thing to see. And, look, the pressure's on the Phillies at this point, right? The Braves, they're in the rearview mirror, sure, but they're not that far behind, right? Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. And that's where the Braves are right now. If they can continue to fight, if they can continue to battle, then, 6 games is not all that much when you look at the grand scheme of things, right? We've come back from far more. And, look, I think you get this team in the playoffs, whether it be with a Division I or not, you get this team in the playoffs and crazy things can happen, right? Who would have thought that without Austin Riley, without Ozzie Albies, without AJ Minter now, without Acuna Strider, who would have thought that we'd be winning the season series against the Phillies? Because we were before this series, and now it's even more so, right? It was 4-2 before this series, so now it's 6-3 against the Phillies. We'll take that. That's pretty darn good. Now they're still going to have to go forward and win another 4 games, possibly, or face them in another 4 games, possibly at the tail end of the season. But there is still time, and I think that the additions so far have fit in. It is a small sample size, but guess what, guys? For the whole rest of the year, no matter how many at-bats they have, it's still going to be a small sample size. I couldn't care less about that. I just need them to stay consistent. And if they get consistent at-bats, a player like Whit Merrifield especially, I see doing really well in that realm. So we'll see what happens, but so far, so good when it comes to Whit Merrifield and Gio Urshela. When we get back, we're going to talk about some other players that are possibly on the they're on the waiver wire, but could they possibly end up in Atlanta? I'm sure one or two of you probably have some speculations as to who I'm talking about, but we're going to talk about that when we get back.
Are you ready to save big on a new Chevrolet?
Make your way to Glenn Smith Chevrolet. Choose America's #1 compact SUV, the Chevy Equinox, discounted up to $6,500 off. The powerful Chevy Silverados are up to $13,750 off. And the big Chevy Silverado 2500 HTs are discounted up to $6,000 off. Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika.
Get ready to smile.
Welcome back, guys. We are going to get to your comments here shortly, so make sure to stick with us. But before we do that, we do have one more segment. Before we get into that, just a reminder, please do like the video. It really does help us get this out there to more and more Braves fans. And really, all I can ask for is to grow this channel, right? That all comes down to you. I make the content. I'd really appreciate it if you could share it. Get it out there to your friends that you know are Braves fans, any baseball fans. I'll even accept a Philly fan if they're out there. But let them know about the channel. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and of course hit the bell for notifications so you know every time we go live. And of course, every time we drop new content. Happy to have you here. Happy to be here. Let's go ahead and get into this real quick, right? Because we talked about the players that we have acquired via the waiver wire or via, just whatever the case may be over the past couple of months, right? Whit Merrifield, Gio Urshela, we got Eddie Rosario for a stint. But with all of what we've lost, they've been really good. But what if the Braves could add a couple more? What if they could go out there and get, a couple more players, veteran players who could fit in with this team, and maybe, them playing every day could look a little better on their baseball reference page. There was one that got brought up before any other that we're going to mention, and we're going to talk about him first. Brandon Crawford. Now, this is interesting. Brandon Crawford has had quite a tumultuous 2024, and I say that it's really nothing to do with him. It's more to do with just how he's been used, right? You had, 13 years with the Giants, played pretty much all of his career with the Giants. All of a sudden this year you sign a 1-year, $2 million deal with the Cardinals, very affordable deal. Of course, he is a shortstop, but his offense has not been there. 169 average, 263 on base, 544 OPS. He's got all of 1 homer, 4 RBIs. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, Tyler, that doesn't sound real good, but he's only got 71 at-bats, right? As opposed to coming off a year where he had 283. He's got 28 games played. He's only got 93 last year. Of course, there's going to be a dip. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that last year was all that much better. He only had a 194 average, but it was a little better, and it could be there could be a little something left in the tank for Brandon Crawford. Now, I mentioned he's a shortstop. This year, primarily, he's been used as a DH or pinch hitter, and primarily playing at third, really. Or no, he's primarily played at short, but used at third as well. Really, the key with Brandon Crawford, the reason he hasn't found consistent playing time is, Brandon Crawford was brought in. He was meant to kind of cover whatever, as insurance, I guess, for the Cardinals prospect Mason Wynn. Mason Wynn's had a really good year, so Brandon Crawford could very well couldn't really find anywhere to play because Mason Wynn's doing really good. So the Cardinals, felt it necessary to get rid of Brandon Crawford. Do I see the Braves getting him? I don't, because I think Gio Urshela has really won the Braves over these past couple days. At least that's the vibe I got right now. That could change, but at least as of right now, I don't think they really need him because, again, Ozzie Albies is only a couple of weeks from coming back in theory, and when that happens, I think you could see Whit Merrifield take over at third. Gio Urshela either be moved to the bench or DFA'd or whatever the case may be. We'll see how the inner politics of that look in a couple of weeks. But you could have Whit Merrifield cover third, and then if Riley is to come back in the postseason, then you can possibly have Whit Merrifield play in the outfield and infield or used when necessary because he's versatile in that way. So I think there's a lot of different ways it could go, and I really don't think we need another infielder. I think we've kind of got that covered, right, for the most part. That said, there is one guy on the waiver wire that has not only caught my attention, I know he's caught all of yours, and that is Jason Hayward. That's right, the Dodgers this morning DFA Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward, we all know him, we all love him for the time he spent in Atlanta. He spent all of, 5 seasons in Atlanta. And, look, he had a great time in Atlanta. Most of his career, though, has been spent with the Cubs, where he won a World Series back in 2016. He was second in Rookie of the Year voting for Atlanta. He did win an All-Star spot that year. He's got multiple-time Gold Glover, really good defender. And I think that, he's kind of in that same stint. He's not playing every day. He's had some injuries this year that have kind of kept him out of commission. The reason he was taken out was because, or the reason he was DFA'd rather, was because Chris Taylor came off the injured list, and basically he ran out of options. So he's had a really good stretch with the Dodgers last year, especially. I mean, finished with a 269 average, 473 slug, 15 homers. This year, he hasn't had that much playing time, but he really isn't that much far off of that. I mean, his batting average is down, but all in all, he could still give you a very good defensive, he could give you a very good defense anywhere in the outfield for the most part. His bat is nothing to shake a stick at. I will say that, look, he's 35 years old. He's definitely not in the prime of his career anymore, but it's a $9 million contract for 1 year. He'd be a free agent at the end of the year. This could be a way for him to retire as a Brave. He was, he's from Georgia. He's from McDonough. It could just be a way for him to, get a swan song and walk out as a Brave where he started. I don't know if that's something he wants to do, but if the Braves have any interest, I mean, he's out there for the taking on a very affordable contract. I don't know if it'll happen, but I wouldn't oppose it at all. And, for me, as a longtime Braves fan, I was 11 years old in 2010, right? That's when he hit, a homer in his first at bat. He won the All-Star. We were all hyping him up as the next big thing in Atlanta. And I was 15 when he moved to St. Louis. So for me, this would be a real full circle moment, as it would be for a lot of Braves fans who saw him come up, who heard about him, who heard about the rumblings of him even in high school here in Georgia, because that was a thing back then. Everybody kind of had their eye on Jason Hayward. And then when we drafted him, it was, oh my gosh, we got the hometown kid, the guy. We got him. And it would just be really cool to see him retire in a Braves uniform. Now, that said, you don't bring anybody in if you're a winning ball club for the intent to have somebody retire in your uniform. That is reserved for the teams that are below 500. And the Braves are not that, right? But I think Hayward could also provide you great defense in the outfield. You know, even if he's a little older, he's still got a good glove. And I really think if he were to play, not every day, but most days and more consistently, his bat could improve, right? Just historically looking at his numbers, I really think it could improve. Now, that said, if it doesn't, you're out $9 million, or at least half of that, I guess, $4.5 million. So we'll see. But Brandon Crawford, Jason Hayward, those are the two newest guys that are out there that are available. Will the Braves get them? I don't know. If I had to pick a favorite out of those two, I think we need an outfielder more, just because we've seen the limitations of Soler. We've seen, how his fielding is questionable, no doubt. Ramon Laureano has definitely improved defensively in the past week, which is nice to see. But I still think having just another option, a right-handed option in the outfield could be a good thing. And wouldn't it be something to have two hometown kids next to each other in the outfield with Jason Hayward and Michael Harris? I think so. It would be interesting. That's all I'm saying. I don't know that I even necessarily want it to happen, but I definitely would understand it if the move was made, because, again, it gives you another internal option, and it just gives you another member of a cast of characters that has seemed to really thrive together. And you bring in a guy in like Hayward. Here's the other thing I'll say about him. Hayward is not only a good talent, because he is. He's older, though, but he's a good leader. And that's what I think this team is missing. If you remember back in 2016, I don't know how many of you watched that World Series, but I did. I watched it through and through. And Jason Hayward struggled that year and struggled that series, really. But they went to a rain delay in Game 7 between the Cubs and the Indians. I'm sorry, the Guardians. But they went to a rain delay, and you heard, I believe it was Joe Buck, get on there and say, the Cubs are having a team meeting, and Jason Hayward has really encouraged everybody. We're the Cubs, we can do this, and really was the guy who stepped up as the team leader. And let's be honest, guys, right now we don't really have that. And I'm not saying that Jason Hayward's going to come in and be that. I'm saying he's capable of it. So I'm just saying it could be interesting. It could be interesting, and it could be the right kind of, stir in the drink, I guess, by bringing in Jason Hayward. I think it's something that kind of fits, and I think it's something that, we could very well see happen. I'd be open to it. I know opinion is kind of split on it. I would be open to it if we can get him, in here before another team claims him. That would be nice. We will see what happens. If it happens tomorrow, I will try to get on here. No promises. Depends what time of the day it is. But I'm very excited about the possibility of it. And I'm not excited for all the reasons that we typically are excited about an acquisition. We're typically excited because we know they're good, right? We knew when we got Jorge Soler, that's a good thing, right? We knew when we got Matt Olson a couple years ago, like, well, if we can't get Freddie, that's a pretty good pick, and we're usually excited in that way. I'm excited about Hayward because of what I just said. The culture could change in the clubhouse. And we got a good culture, make no mistake, but we could turn it into something else. And I'd be really, really interested to see. When we get back, we're going to talk about a couple guys down in the minors, and then we're going to get into your comments. So make sure to stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to save big on a new GMC?
At Clint Smith GMC in Opelika, you can own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA. The GMC Sierra pickup is discounted up to $14,500 off. The roomy and comfortable GMC Terrains are up to $8,250 off. And the GMC Acadias with 3 spacious rows and seating for 7, discounted up to $8,000 off. At Clint Smith GMC in Opelika,
Get ready to smile.
Welcome back, everybody. Got a couple things to talk about before we get into anything. I wanted to highlight a couple of pitchers that are down in the minors, and we're going to start with A.J. Smith-Shawver. This is a guy who I've been high on really a couple of years now. I've always liked his pitch mix. I've liked the way he operates. And really, out of everybody that we saw last year, I thought out of the prospects, he was the guy with the highest ceiling. Obviously, Spencer Schwellenbach has really impressed. Hurston Waldrop is still down there in the minors. There's a couple other guys. But A.J. Smith-Shawver has really been a guy that, when called upon, has been really good at the major league level. If you remember, he was really good this year. He came up, he had a really good start earlier in the year, and he left with an injury. And he hasn't been called up to the majors since. But the other night, yesterday, at 10:30 p.m., this was posted, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts in Gwinnett. That is really encouraging. I think it's a matter of time before we see him. It may be closer to the postseason, when rosters are finalized, kind of deal. But he's been really, really good down there in the minors. And if nothing else, maybe something out of the bullpen, right? It's really just kind of nice to know that, we're seeing we're seeing something out of him, and we're seeing something that we could use if we were to get into the postseason, or if we were to lose a starting pitcher. You heard it. If that were to happen, then we do have something to call upon. Speaking of something to call upon, let's talk about Ian Anderson. Ian Anderson, in his last 2 starts, 11 2/3 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs, 14 strikeouts, 2 walks. That's a pretty darn good line. He's been looking really good down in Gwinnett as well. We got a couple pitchers down there that, look, if nothing else, they could be a trade piece. That is possible. But I think with what we've dealt with this year and knowing what we could be losing next year, we've talked about that a lot on the channel here. We know what the possibilities of what we could be losing are, right? Max Fried could hit free agency. Charlie Morton could hit free agency and then retire. So we know what's possible in terms of what we're losing. Knowing that you got 2 pitchers down there who could complement this rotation as of right now could be very encouraging. You could have a new wave of depth that otherwise we really didn't know we had, right? Ian Anderson has been kind of missing in action for a few years now. We didn't know when that time was going to come. And he's pitching really well now. A.J. Smith-Shawver, we knew was there, but he's really kind of coming into his own, at least at the minor league level. So that's nice to see. But I think we have a lot of depth there that otherwise we wouldn't have known about. So just wanted to talk about those 2 guys. I really think that they could be very influential in what happens this year come the postseason, and especially what happens come next year. Guys, we're going to go to one more break. Before we do, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications if you have not already. But the biggest thing you can do is go ahead and like in the video.
Are you ready to save big on a new Chevrolet?
Make your way to Glenn Smith Chevrolet. Choose America's #1 compact SUV, the Chevy Equinox, discounted up to $6,500 off. The powerful Chevy Silverados are up to $13,750 off. And the big Chevy Silverado 2500 HTs are discounted up to $6,000 off. Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika.
Get ready to smile.
Again, thank you for being here tonight, everybody. Really do appreciate it. Really would appreciate you liking the video, getting this out there to as many Braves fans as you can. If you know a Braves fan that likes Braves content, you might as well tell them about us. They might already subscribe, but they may not. Just tell them about it. Let us know. We really would appreciate it. We're going to get to your comments now. Eddie Coffey says, Braves almost swept the Phillies. They were dang sure close. I'll just tell this story because I want to tell it, but it kind of relates to what you're talking about. I have a buddy who may be watching. I don't know. It's a little late. He may have gone to bed. I don't know. John Surratt, if you're out there, this is about you. He calls me last night. Actually, he texted me first. I'm going to read this because this is kind of what my comment section looks like on a regular basis, if I can pull this up. I can't stand Jimenez, Johnson, and you already know my opinion of Luke Jackson. Snit is making dumb decisions pulling in Jimenez. So I tell you that to tell you that he got a talking to. I called him on the phone, and this relates to the Braves almost sweeping the Phillies. I call him on the phone. I said, all right, get out a pen and paper. So he got out a pen and paper, and I made him write out all 13 pitchers that are currently on the Braves roster. Right? Made him look it up. Made him do some research. And he's like, I said, cross out the starting 5. They're unavailable, right? Cross out Raisel Iglesias because this is the 8th inning. And he said, all right. I said, all right, now cross out Grant Holmes because he pitched 2 innings last night. No way he's coming out tonight. He said, okay. So what are you left with? The 3 pitchers he read me. So it's not like Snick could make a lot of decisions outside of that. I bring that story up to say that, yeah, the Braves almost swept the Phillies, but really not much Snick could do if you were to choose between Jimenez, Pierce Johnson, or I guess it would be Pierce. Who was the other one? I've lost it, guys. It's late. Don't look at me. Don't think I'm crazy. It's really late. Luke Jackson. So Luke Jackson came in and had a clean inning last night, which is nice. So really, you're choosing between Joe Jimenez and Pierce Johnson, and Joe Jimenez had a clean inning the night before against the same lineup, so you assume that he could do the same. So it is what it is, but I tell you this story to tell you, just you're not going to win with some people. John Surratt is a moron, and anybody that knows him will verify that. But yeah, that's who I associate myself with. Corey Carter says, if the Braves can make the playoffs, there is a world where these injuries end up galvanizing this team. Yeah, why not us, right? The 2004 Red Sox weren't quite that injury prone, but they had a lot going against them curse wise. And if anybody's cursed this year, it's dang sure the Braves. Corey Carter says, we need Ray Kerr to heal up and come on back. I agree. The Dixon Way says, like button is smashed. 3rd straight series victory against the Phillies this season. Schwellenbach has John Smoltz swagger. Yeah, Schwellenbach's really coming into his own. He's proved himself at the big league level at this point. Hopefully he can do that long term and really be a force to be reckoned with, not only this year, but years to come. Also, thank you for liking the video. I really do appreciate that. If you're out there and you haven't liked the video, what are you doing, man? Like the video. The Battery says, move next to Truist. You move next to Truist. Well, you are the Battery, so I would assume that would be the case. Listening to the crowd, they were about 60 seconds in front of the Fox live stream. Frustrating until I listened to 3 sets of strikeout fireworks in the 9th. Yeah, I'd just be ready to go ahead and know what happens at that point. Sizemore says, pretty encouraging that we were a base hit away in the 9th inning from a sweep against the team who most people are picking to win it all despite the numerous problems we've had. Yeah, I mean, and we've really had their number this year. I mean, we have not lost a series against them yet. We just have gotten behind them in the win column. So head-to-head, I mean, it's hard not to feel really good. Corey Carter says, I think Merrifield should be the leadoff man. I think in a typical lineup you would see that. I don't know why it hasn't happened for the Braves just yet. I think we got a lot of changing dynamics going right now, but I'm not opposed to it. I've kind of mentioned that myself. I mean, he gets on base a lot, and I'm not opposed to it either. Let's see. Little E says Grissom was 0 for 5 today for Red Sox AAA team, lowering his season average to 211. Chris Sale's trade is looking like a grand theft. Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought that when we did it because we didn't know how the two were gonna do, but Vaughn Grissom was kind of eating up a roster spot. We didn't have anywhere for him, and great athlete, great player, but at the end of the day, if you don't have anywhere for him to play, it's tough to really, do a lot with that. So getting Vaughn Grissom and, getting Chris Sale for Vaughn Grissom straight up was huge. I thought that when we got it, and had we gotten any other starting pitcher, I would have thought that back then. But then you get a guy who's leading the Cy Young conversation, and it's really hard to argue. I mean, Chris Sale has been absolutely dominant since getting to Atlanta. Vaughn Grissom kind of fallen off the face of the earth in a way. So hate to see that. You don't wish that for him, but he's hitting 211 down in Red Sox AAA. It is what it is. The Battery says, how late can we trade for someone and they still play in the postseason? Let's look that up, actually. It's coming up soon. I think somewhere in September, maybe the end of August. Roster's finalized MLB. Let's see. Okay, here you go. A club's 26-man roster is its full roster of active Major League Baseball players from opening day through August 31st and during the postseason. Teams are limited to carrying 13 pitchers during this time. From September 1st to the end of the regular season, all clubs must carry 28 players with a limit of 14 pitchers. Players on the 26-man roster, okay, accrue time, whatever. It looks to me like September 1st is the day to have basically your postseason roster finalized. That's what I'm gathering there. I hope that answers your question. So got about 9 days for that to kind of see what happens. So if you're going to get Jay Hay, expect him in the next week. That's what I would say. Yeah, all of the moves, like Scooter Puff says, are happening via the waiver wire. So anything you see is coming through that. But yeah, I mean, it's we'll see what happens. Little E says Jason Hayward soon to be released by the Dodgers. Braves do not have a left-handed power bat off the bench. Yeah, I completely agree, right? I mean, they got to have something there. And again, he's just another option, and we'll see what happens. Did I say he was right? I said he was right-handed earlier. What am I thinking? Sorry, it's been a long day. I don't know if you can tell by the way I look, but I'm exhausted. Little E says, on Hayward, the Braves need that left-hand power bat off the bench. Defense is a plus. Come back home, Jason. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The Battery has a great comment. He says, I think Jeff Francoeur is available too. He's available. He's out there. I think he played in the celebrity softball game not too long ago. So, yeah, he's available. Yeah, Corey Carter, it was crazy. Hayward was the guy. Freeman was kind of an afterthought. It's crazy to think how the two players have kind of ended their careers or continued their careers, depends who you are. I mean, it's crazy to see how the roads they've taken, for sure. Richard Davis says Anderson might come up in a September call-up, possibly. The Battery says, were you surprised that Sale didn't get to pitch tonight on ordinary rest? They made that call early. I was. I really wanted Chris Sale to pitch in this series because selfishly I just wanted to see what he looked like versus the Phillies, which we've seen, I think, once this year. But I wanted to see kind of where we stood on him because I think he's just a really good talent to have, good big lefty. That's why we got him, if you ask me. That said, Schwellebach, answered the call. That's all you can really ask for. Let's see. Let's see. A lot of folks asking questions. Joe Reese says, I'm starting to think that they need to trade Olsen to the Dodgers and bring back Freeman or make Murphy the backup catcher. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. In terms of Freeman, if anything, you're going to see what we're talking about with Hayward. He's going to get a cup of coffee with the Braves at the tail end of his career. That's where we're, on the trajectory towards. I mean, that's just I don't see Freeman coming back to the Braves until that contract's up. That's just my opinion. A lot of folks are saying Olsen is slow. Come on, don't talk about Olsen that way. Let's see. I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Okay, cool. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I mean, go ahead and get your comments in if you got anything, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Just want to say thank you guys for watching. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me rant tonight. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I really do appreciate that. Remember to like the video if you have not already. Really would appreciate you doing that on the way out. Also, please do hit the bell for notifications, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are growing this channel really well right now. You guys are doing great with that. And if you're out there and you watch this stuff, if this is your second or third time watching the stream and you have not subscribed, what are you doing, man? Subscribe to the channel. Really does help us out. Really does put us out there. And, of course, if you have not, please tell your friends about us. Just put it out there on Facebook. Put it out there on Instagram. Whatever you got to do to get people to watch, just do it. We're trying to grow the channel. We want this to be we want this to be a place for you guys to come and be a part of a Braves community, and glad I can provide it. And I try to read as many comments as I can. I want to say I missed one. I'm looking for, there it is, the Battery. What's the story on the bats behind you? This is what we're going to finish on tonight. Why not, right? So what you're looking at is one corner of what I call my studio, my man cave, my showroom, whatever. I have stuff over there. I have some stuff over here. I have a closet over there full of jerseys. This is my basically my living space. I used to have a second. This is a second bedroom just in my home. I used to have a second camera. I could really show you everything, and I can't. But I'll go ahead and walk it through with you. So these baseballs over here, there's about 100 of them. So I'm not going to go through all of them. But it's anywhere from Jorge Soler on a World Series ball to Derek Jeter to King Griffey Jr. to Chipper to, I mean, you name it, it's up there. Hank Aaron. I have a case over there that is nothing but Braves Hall of Famers plus Freddie Freeman. So it's Phil Niekro, Eddie Matthews, Hank, Warren Spahn, Bobby Cox, Smoltz, Maddox, Glavine, Andrew Jones, who will be in the Hall of Fame, Chipper Jones, Dale Murphy, who will be in the Hall of Fame, Freddie Freeman, who will be in the Hall of Fame, I believe. They're all in there, so it's really cool. I have a Chief Nakahoma picture blowing fire that's signed to Tyler, my friend up there. That right there is the letter that Jock Peterson wrote in its entirety, where he put, "We are those MFers." We are those. He signed that. Met him a few years ago. That is a portrait of Hank Aaron. It's signed. That's one of my favorite pieces. Ted Williams is right here. Ric Flair's up there. You name it. Dale Murphy over here. It's really everything. Now, the question you asked, what are the bats? Well, we can talk about that too. I'll just go down the line if you're ready. Ronald Acuna, his model bat, he signed that. Ozzie Albies, of course they got to go together. Dale Murphy, that is on his model bat. Chipper, Matt Olson, Jorge Soler, Fred McGriff, and Josh Donaldson kind of complete that. On this side, this is kind of my non-Brave stack. The top is Pete Rose, who should be in the Hall of Fame. I think we can all agree. Frank Thomas. I live in Columbus, Georgia. He went to Columbus High School. He's from here, so that's a pretty cool one for me. Jose Bautista's the third one. You talk about a heavy bat. That dude swung a heavy freaking bat. George Brett is below him. No pine tar. Cameron Maben. That bat's really cool. I've actually talked about that bat before. That was given to me by Chief Nakahoma. And Cameron Maben gave it to him. So kind of a cool story there. Juan Gonzalez is below him. Javi Lopez is below him. Denny McLain, the last 30-game winner, good friend of mine. And Jeff Francoeur, who is, of course, available for the Braves to sign. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's I have a decent collection, I'd say. This is only one room, you know. This is just, I built this for this purpose and really to kind of show the memorabilia. My favorite piece is right over there. I wish I could get it down, but I can't right now. It's a picture of Phil Niekro. If you don't know, I interviewed Niekro. It's on the channel. But it's a picture of Niekro, and it's a letter he wrote me, and it's all framed and matted real nice. I can't show you. I wish I could, but it's on a Hall of Fame postcard, and it's a really neat piece, and I love that piece. And it's more personal than anything. I have a cabinet over there that's got a whole Hank Aaron thing. It's got like 3 bobbleheads plus a signed ball of Hank. I got a Herschel Walker signed Georgia helmet. I got a Ben Roethlisberger helmet. I got, of all people, Mike Foltynewicz cleats. I got game used. I got Ozzie Albies cleats in there. I have a Ron Washington game used bench coach helmet, if you know what I'm talking about. It's even got a paint scuff from the dugout right here. I had him sign that. I have a Michael Harris signed helmet. I got 2 basketballs signed by Shaq and Dominique Wilkins. I'm trying to think what else I got. I got I got stadium seats from Fulton County and Turner Field. You name it, I got it. I mean, it's in there. I got football helmets signed by Bobby Bowden, who I've interviewed, Nick Saban, who I've met, Pat Dye, who I've interviewed, a racing helmet signed by Richard Petty, another one signed by Dale Jr. Yeah, I mean, it's a wide array of stuff I like. I have a picture signed by Jimmy Carter. I have, a multitude of pictures, really. I got a picture up there. I'm actually pretty proud of this. It's really hard to find Pete Van Wieren and Skip Carey on the same ball. It's a really expensive ball. It's hard to find Skip Carey, period. I have a Pete Van Wieren ball by himself, but Skip is just a really hard one to nail down. But I have a picture up there. It's one of those Braves Hall of Fame inductee pictures. It's signed. It's got Kid Nichols on it, who died in 1901. So no, he didn't sign this. Tommy Holmes, who did sign it, Pete Van Wieren, who did sign it, and Skip Carey, all on the same picture. Kind of proud of that one. I got a good deal on that. I have a whole corner over there full of Chief Nakahoma stuff that he made for me. I mean, I got the Power Alley picture, Dale Murphy. I got jerseys galore. That's pretty much all I'm gonna. That's all I'm gonna list here. But yeah, I got quite a bit. You know, I've brought some Braves alumni. I talked to one of them, Johnny Estrada, earlier today about something completely irrelevant. But I brought him over here one time. If you remember, I did a live stream with Johnny here during the playoffs, I think in 2022, and he watched along with us, and he live reacted to it, which was a lot of fun. But when he walked into my apartment, dude, he was like, "What is wrong with you? My coffee table is a NASCAR tire signed by Matt Kenseth with a piece of glass over it. That is my coffee table." Imagine bringing your wife home to that, you know. I had to have a conversation with my fiance about, look, I promise our house won't look like this when we get together. But you know, it is what it is. But no, I mean, I've been collecting since I was 10 years old, probably, maybe even younger than that. It's just kind of accumulated, right? I mean, anybody can do it. I've just put the money in, I guess. But you know, most of the stuff is kind of personal. I have a whole shelf of bobbleheads over there. Who knows what all is over there? You know, I mean, it's just, a lot of it's personal. Like the Phil Necro piece is personal. Anything Chief Nakahoma is personal. But a lot of it's just stuff that I like. You know, I didn't meet a lot of these people, but you know, Tony Gwynn is a player that I admire. He's up here. I do have one ball that I'll tell you about. It's right there. It's signed by Mark Lemke and Leo Mazzoni on the front side. It is a ball, I believe, that Albert Pujols hit in batting practice, and we caught it. My dad caught it. I was like 10 years old. First game I ever went to, I think. Maybe no, not the first game, but first one I can vividly remember. And it just, my dad's hand was doing this for like days. And anyway, later on that day, we see Mark Lemke and Leo Mazzoni sitting in the stands, and we walked up, and they signed it for us. You know, 10, 15 years later, there I was interviewing Leo Mazzoni at his house. You know, just full circle moment there. Newt Gingrich also signed that ball, of all people. So yeah, I mean, I've gotten some cool stuff. It's been a lot of fun. I've never done a video where I go through it all and show you. We've thought about doing that. I haven't, mainly for time's sake, and I'd have to deconstruct my entire apartment to do that or walk you around it. So yeah, it's been tough to kind of nail that down. Maybe an off-season topic will do that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I'm trying to think about if there's anything else I can think of that just off rip. I think that's it. I think that's about it. I'll think on it some more. I got a Steve Spurrier helmet in there. I missed a couple. I got a Cal Ripken Jr. full-size batting helmet for the Orioles. I got a Miguel Cabrera Triple Crown helmet. I got a Miguel Cabrera jersey, a Chipper jersey, a Acuna jersey, a Phil Necro jersey, a Bob Horner jersey, a Rudy Rudiger jersey. I'm looking at them. I think that's it. All the rest of them I wear. I got a Maddox jersey that I've refused to wear because I want him to sign it one day. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's a lot of stuff. Julie C., you're going to be the last comment I read tonight. What do you think of the AA team coming to Columbus? Golden Park is going to need a major facelift. Yes, I have Tim Hudson. Golden Park is now Synovus Park. They've renamed it. They have put $50 million into it, so it's going to get the major facelift. I've driven by it a couple times. The stadium's going to look really nice. They've already done a lot of work to it. They're trying to get it ready for this season. I actually have an interview with their GM on the channel right now, if you haven't seen that. It's Pete Lavin. You'll see that on the homepage of the channel. But he's great. The team I'm really excited about, just to have, frankly, professional baseball up the street. You know, that's going to be really cool to see. You know, I've been going to Golden Park my whole life. My granddad grew up going to Golden Park way back in the 30s, 40s. So I'm really Corey. I'm really excited about it. Genuinely, I am. And you know, as a local, you have difference of opinions when it comes to what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Some people don't want the baseball. I do. I make that very clear. I am a sports fan, in a baseball town that should have baseball in it. We should have it, and I'm very excited about it. So that's where I'm going to leave it. But guys, I really do appreciate you tuning in tonight. Appreciate all the questions about the set. I wish I could show you a little bit more. Maybe one day I'll be able to, but that is going to wrap it up. We have been here for just about an hour, and this was really impromptu. The fact that we got 60 people watching at one point was really nice. The fact that all you guys have hung around this long has been really nice. And you can choose to be anywhere right now, and you chose to be here with us. So we really do appreciate it. And if you would, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the bell for notifications. We want to thank you for doing all of that. And also, big thank you goes out to our sponsor, Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika. They support us. We support them. They do great stuff over there. If you need a new vehicle, go check out my friends over there at Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC. They do great work, and we really, really do appreciate all that they do for us. And, of course, we really do appreciate all of what you do for us as well. So please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on with your Atlanta Braves, as well as everything going on right here at On Deck. We'll see you next time, again, right here at On Deck.
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.